I am Marcus James Dixon with Gold Derby here with my colleague Latasha Ford, and we would like to welcome Alan Cumming, the host and producer of The Traitors on Peacock. So, Alan, season two, it was absolutely must-see TV from beginning to end, and fans and critics, everybody was just so obsessed with it. Could you feel that same energy when you were out filming that this is really good?
Yes, I mean, I feel that the show has got such an inherent obsessive nature to it, both as viewers and as people participating in it. So yeah, but especially this year, I think, because everyone was hiked up a notch, and we when we did it, the British version had been done first. Previously, we were first, and then the British version came after us, and so all the crew who were working on our version were sort of saying, "Oh, this is so," because just the way the cards fell, it was so sort of dramatic and exciting, and so many twists and turns. And so I think we were just really lucky that the combination of the players and the tasks and the personalities, all the confluence of it all made for this really a great season.
So, Alan, talk to me about your overall hosting style because season one, season two, you are literally all in it. I mean, you're so involved with the missions, the challenges, the character dynamics, all of the things. How would you describe your overall hosting style, Alan?
Um, well, I think I'm sort of this, kind of James Bond villain style, Highland laird dandy in his castle, bringing all these people into this lair. And it's sort of like a kind of Pied Piper sort of role. You have to sort of, let them follow you into this weird Netherland that is the Traitors. And I think it's sort of I'm playing this character who is this sort of who's weaving this plot, which makes it really fun because you have to sort of weave different plots for different people. But I think it's really important I'm sort of quite stern and have some authority, because at times I have to really, oftentimes that you don't see on the show actually, I have to sort of intervene and be quite sort of the castle daddy, as Phaedra called me, to sort of keep everyone in line, because it gets pretty heated up and out of control at times. So it's a combination of all those things. But ultimately, I'm playing a sort of very heightened version of a reality competition host, I think, and I'm sort of, acting, playing myself, playing a reality host, and that's why I really enjoy it. All those layers.
And what was it that convinced you to join this show 2 years ago? Was it the drama? Was it the betrayals or the murders? Or I mean, let's be honest, was it your wardrobe?
Well, well, at the time, of course, the wardrobe wasn't a part of it. I had kind of invented the whole wardrobe thing after I spoke to them and agreed to do it, and had this idea about being this dandy Scottish laird. And that's what I took to Sam Spector, the stylist, and said, "This is how I want it to be, and let's hike it up." But no, the initial thing that really made me want to do it, I couldn't understand why they wanted me to do it. Actually, it does seem a little left field if you look at the rest of my career. But I met with the Studio Lambert people, and they were so lovely, and I really got excited about their vision for the American version of the show, to have this sort of more of a dramatic theatrical flair to it. And then also they sent me the original Dutch series, so which is very sort of it's much less sort of dramatic and sort of high production values that we associate with the American one, but nonetheless the core of the show is still the same, and it really, I was as obsessed with that in watching those Dutch episodes as I think the world is now with watching our version and other. So it's really just, it was the game, that it was the Traitors itself, the actual format, that really drew me in, and I just became obsessed with that. And I thought I would love to sort of add to that, put another layer on top of that by making the host of it more dramatic and making him more of a sort of integral part of the format.
And without a doubt, we absolutely love it. The fans are literally insanely in love with this reality show. But Alan, we would not be talking to you if we did not tap into all the things: hair, makeup, and this impeccable wardrobe of yours. Can you talk to me a little about the overall collaboration with the costume designer on this particular project and series?
Well, it's actually really, I mean, I value costume designers as an actor. I really value costume designers so much. I feel that when I go for a fitting, I know that they have researched the story or the show or the film, whatever it is, and my character much more than I have. And so they're the first point of contact that I have with the sort of actual makers of the show. And I really get so much inspiration and really realize what my job is by the work they've done. So I really value them immensely. And so with Sam Spector on this, I came to him saying, this is how how I want it to be. Normally it's the other way around. The costume designer comes to you and has these ideas, but I always came, this is the sort of vibe I'm going for. And I think it was really exciting to him to kind of get that brief because it was obviously a very fun and outrageous one. So now we text each other all the time. We're about to start shooting season 3, and so it's been a busy time of texts and photos and fittings and everything. And it's just a very sort of it is truly collaborative. But I really value his sense of style and sense of drama. And very rarely he'll say to me, "Is this too much?" Very rarely do I say yes. And I think I really like the way that the feminine and the masculine, like I wear quite outrageous or kind of almost non-binary-esque outfits, and I really enjoy that we're pushing that envelope as well, and hopefully making people in America see that you can wear clothes that maybe you didn't think a middle-aged man would be wearing, and for it to work and for it to be stylish and for people to like it. So I think it's been a really positive aspect of the costumes too.
In the first episode of season 2, you walk around the round table and you tap 2 people on the shoulder, Dan and Phaedra, and they ended up having completely different styles of being a traitor. What do you think about both of their individual games?
Well, in a way that I think they had their styles were more similar than you might imagine. I think the big thing about Dan was that he wasn't saying anything, he was holding back, and he was but he blew it because everybody was like, why aren't you saying anything? Why don't you, who do you suspect? And he just kind of he played the sort of I'm standing back and slowly making up my mind for too long. And I think even when people were challenging him and saying you've got to say who you think it is, he still didn't. And also at the same time, I think Phaedra actually also was quite passive. She didn't really ever kind of, until she was challenged, ever really kind of go for anyone. And even in the turret, she was quite sort of passive and sort of said, well, what do you think? And, also a bit like a lawyer. So I think that their games are more familiar, or more similar rather, than you might have imagined. But obviously neither of them was particularly successful in the long run, aside from, the litany of memes and catchphrases that Phaedra has given us and we will never forget. Sweet baby Jesus.
So true. So Alan, you have to let me in on the secret. I have to know, and of course the entire world wants to know, how are these traitors actually chosen? Like, is there some type of underlying deviousness that you sense coming from them? Or is it just as simple as just the boldest and the most daring personalities? Like, how are the traitors chosen?
Well, it's a combination of things. I mean, we have found it very useful, and I do this interview thing with them all the contestants in the first episode, and sort of say, would you like to be a traitor? And so most of them say yes. Some say no, they very much don't want to be. And of course, there could be some value in making those people a traitor, just because it's about people having to do things they're not comfortable with. And I think people who do want to be traitors are, even if they do want to be, they're faced with things that they might not have anticipated. So, but it's also about what would be the good combination of personalities in the turret, what would be confounding the audience's expectations or the other contestants' expectations. It's sort of, and who would be, maybe there's people who are a bit too obvious, but maybe you double bluff them. It's just, that's what I love about the game. We're constantly pulling the rug from under the contestants and the audience. And that's what the challenge is moving forward, is to keep on doing that, to keep on making it fresh and making those gasp-inducing moments.
I love the setting of the Scottish Highlands and the castle and the graveyard, and the production design on the show is absolutely beautiful. What was it like exploring some of these sets, specifically the castle?
Well, I'm now quite familiar with that castle. I thought, and then I realized the other day that there's a swimming pool I didn't even know was there,
Oh,
because it's kind of a castle that's sort of half on the way to being fully renovated. It's not all the rooms are done up, and it's sort of before we went to it, it was used for weddings and stuff. So it's got a sort of theatrical element to it itself already, because it's kind of, if you go into too many doors, you'll see sort of decrepit parts of it. But there's this swimming pool that's actually behind the wall where the sort of the bar is, where they all kind of chat and have drinks. If you were to go through that wall, there's actually an old swimming pool there, that's not, it's not used and is empty. But I'm just fascinated by this castle having slowly being renovated and having this new personality and this new energy in it. But I really do love it. I love the set design. I think the production design has been so helpful to me, because I'm playing this character of this Scottish laird. So I've kind of molded my character to my surroundings. And I love how it sort of changes slightly each time. And also that round table room is amazing. That's actually in an old part of the chapel. And so it's actually built inside the old chapel in the castle. And I love that room. I just think it's every night I look forward to the round table, because it's going to be juicy.
Yes, so juicy, so juicy. So let's quickly talk about criteria, Alan, just for a brief second. Like, what is required to make the cut? Like, what gets an individual a seat at the table, literally and figuratively? Like, what is it that the casting department looks for specifically when it comes to selecting, the faithfuls and the traitors, just everyone at the round table?
Gosh, I'm not. I mean, I think that'd be a question for them more. I give suggestions, and I'm for me, the thing I felt was that in the last season, sort of LGBT people weren't properly represented, or not represented enough, and that was one of the things that I felt we needed to beef up. Just having a more, making sure that our diversity is truly diverse and truly sort of a representation of the world we live in. So that's my sort of bag on it. I think the casting people look for both people who are well known, but more importantly, people whose personalities might click and or jar with the constraints of the game, because it's not an easy game to play, and you're in that bubble where you just completely are lost in the world of the traitors, in the world of the castle, and people go nuts. I mean, they make very illogical decisions, and they go crazy. They're maddened, and so I think in a way it's good for, you can sort of tell how sort of stringent people's sort of mental health is, or how strong they are in certain ways, and it's always really fascinating to see how that pans out. But I think it's more a combination of people who are known for certain qualities, and then how they might kind of get on with other personalities and things. It's very, very changeable, and I think there's 21 people, so that's a lot of people. It's like having a party. It's like having a house party, or a house, people over for a weekend. You have 21 people. That's going to be fireworks before you even start playing crazy games with them.
And before we go, the Emmy nominations are coming up. What would it mean for you to get an Emmy nomination for this reality host category for the Traitors? We're all rooting for you, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. It would be, obviously I would be very, very grateful and happy. And the success of the show has obviously surprised me hugely, but it's really great when you do something that's very left field and out of nowhere in terms of what you've done in the past, and you sort of take a chance and you try something new, and people get it and love it. It's very heartwarming. So I feel very loved, and I feel the show is very loved. Also, I've been nominated over the years 5 times for an Emmy for various acting-y things, The Good Wife and various things, and I guess once for hosting the Tonys, actually. But I think it would be really amazing to be nominated for this, for the Traitors, because I feel the Traitors for me is an example of how important it is to say yes to things in life that are new and different and maybe a bit scary, but to keep your mind open, because I all of those things were what happened to me when they asked me. I thought, what is this? What am I doing this for? I don't know if I can do this. And so if I got a nomination, it would not just be for having done a good job on the show, it would also remind me as a human being to say yes to life. And that would be really lovely.
Well, Alan, thank you so much for chatting with us today, and we cannot wait to see season 3 of The Traitors.
Me
So
too.
excited. Thank you,
Thanks so
Alan.
much. Thank you.